but race, but national origin, ethnicity. My office is responsible for investigating those types of complaints. So what I need for you all to promise me that you'll do is reach out to my office so that we can begin to have conversations around correcting the many injustices that you've discussed. Anyone can report an issue. Two ways. Either you can send an email to title9coordinator@umass.edu, or if you go on the Equal Opportunity website, there's a rectangle that says report a concern. Click that link and begin to type. You can fill it out anonymously, but I do ask that you provide enough information so that we can do a thorough investigation. Once we receive that report, we make it our business to get in touch with the person that filed the complaint within 24 hours. That's our first point of contact. What we want to do first is provide resources, right? It's a student-driven process. So if a student comes to us and says something happened, we want to first connect you to resources. That could be with CDC, that could be getting a restraining order, that could be making some classroom adjustments, that could be changing your living arrangements, that could be a police escort. But it's a student-driven process so that we take our lead from you. Our intake coordinators, we have two. They're very student-focused. They are empathetic and they're compassionate, and again, we will take our cue from you. Whatever we need to do for you to feel supported in this environment, that's what we'll do. And the beauty of everything starting at EO is that we will navigate those external processes for you so that the victim does not have to retell his or her story over and over. Secondly, I'm going to also take this opportunity to let you know that if a student decides to file a formal complaint, I'm proud to inform you that we have a very professional team of investigators. We have 3 attorneys, 1 former FBI agent, and 1 former UMPD police officer. They've all been trained in trauma-informed investigations, and they're here, again, to investigate complaints of discrimination that we encourage you to follow in their office.
Okay, thank you. We do want to reiterate.
I'm sorry, I know you probably didn't want me to talk that much, but I just
No,
wanna,
yeah,
okay.
I do appreciate that.
No problem.
We do have a follow-up question to that. So I do appreciate you outlining all of these resources and the official complaint process. However, that's not really the goal of this movement. We understand that there is a process on this campus, but throughout this week, story and story and story over again have ended with the words, UMass didn't do anything. People have been doing that process. I've probably heard it, and this is an exaggeration, I'd say 70 plus times, yeah, probably more, over and over again. So while we do appreciate you outlining this process, what's going to be done to ensure that after a student goes up through this chain, who's going to follow through and make sure that something is actually done?
I'll repeat what I said. So first of all, I need to say this. I was sad that we learned that the trigger to this incident we heard about from an online source. No one reported it to EO. If my office doesn't know, then I need your help to help me to understand how we can correct it.
Sorry.
If it's not being reported to my office.
Yeah, we do understand that. What we're saying right now is that people are reporting.
And where are they reporting?
I'm assuming mostly to UMPD. I can check, we can go through and see specifically who. I don't think that should really matter who they're reporting to. I think that if it's, whether it's a UMPD, Title IX, coordinating office, dean of students, I don't think it should really matter. If there's nothing being done about it, then that's a problem in itself. friend just also pointed out that this chain of events of people going around saying, oh, I reported it and nothing happened, that's going to continue this cycle of survivors not wanting to come forward. It's already hard enough for these survivors to come forward, and when they're hearing UMass doesn't hold anyone accountable, why would they come forward if they know nothing's going to change?
One thing, I personally did report what happened to me every single time, and all I got was victim blaming and being told to suck it up. So frankly, why are we expected to go and report what happens to us when that's what we experience 9 times out of 10? And oh, for the record, it was not a male speaking to me, it was a woman, so she knows how I feel, not the idiot men. It was a woman and she victim blamed me.
So if there isn't a direct question, a direct answer to that question, I think that says something about the administration that you need to address. Does anyone have an answer to that question? Why are there so many stories ending with UMass who do anything?
Actually, ultimately the work starts with me. I take responsibility. So I will say the following. Clearly, our system, notwithstanding all regulatory compliance and things like that, isn't working. This is what we learned. This is what we've learned through the stories that have come up through the social media law. If we don't really know where the failures are, I don't know how to fix it. So one or two things. So this is why, and one of the things I mentioned, based on the stories, the lived experiences, the pain that has come through, is to say that we're in the process of hiring an outside firm to conduct a comprehensive, independent review of any report of sexually based misconduct, regardless of what office they came into, going back 7 years. So we want to learn where is our system failing? Was this in the dean of students' office? Was this in a particular department? Was it at UMPD? We want to know so we can fix it. We can even hold accountable those who, in fact, if there are people who really don't even understand what this is all about, they shouldn't be working for us. But if we don't really get to understanding where the failures are, it's very difficult to fix. And I understand it's a vicious cycle because survivors don't really always want to come forward, not come forward in a timely way, don't want to reveal what's going on so that they're still afraid, and there are lots of issues there. But this is why maybe a third party who is independently surveying and talking to you folks and getting the confidential information or whatever information survivors of knowledge thereof can share. We need that information to know where our failures are and how to fix them.
Okay, even if you believe that these resources are effective, you haven't really mentioned what you are doing to prevent people from having to report this, to create an environment that's safe so that people don't have to wait until they're raped or wait until they're hate crime. So what are some of the preventative measures you are taking to make the campus more safe for marginalized groups?
We have training that's offered and required, and it is, depending on union conversations, either required or strongly recommended for all employees, all students through the orientation programs. So this is a part and parcel of our requirements to have people be trained in terms of acceptable, unacceptable behavior, as well as the consequences thereof. Do you want to add something more to the training components? And also, Bill, I think you may be able to.
Yeah, I would reiterate that again. I think it's important to mention we do have the required training during orientation for all students. I think the other thing that's very important to mention, and our first speaker talked about being an RA. Our RAs are extensively paired, are extensively trained, and our staff in the halls are extensively trained to be able to provide this information. And I've walked the halls at the beginning of this year and saw much of that up, as well as provide resources if there is an incident. So it's a layered effect as well from that perspective.
We'd like to make a note that we're trying to keep a 2-minute time limit with stories and questions just because we don't have a lot of time. So just trying to get everybody out there asking questions.
Okay. Hello. I wasn't even going to speak on this, but since it came up, my freshman year, I did have an RA, not blaming her, who overheard me speak of an assault that happened to me by a fellow UMass student down on campus. She didn't ask me if I wanted to report it, but she reported it. She pretty much told me she had to report it and I had to go through the entire process of reporting something I wasn't prepared to report. So it put me through a really hard, moment. My freshman year of college, I was 18, and I had to talk to 3 different people. She reported it directly to the RD and then to the student's office. And I had to speak to 3 different people, 2 of which I didn't feel like they were well trained. They were both students, so it was kind of hard for me to speak on that. And even if I wanted to report it, it was so difficult retelling that. So I can't even imagine for the women that are strong enough to report something, how that has to feel. So yeah, I know you wanted a specific instance, and that was my instance. And ever since that happened, I haven't even thought about that yet, because I'm not emotionally prepared for that. But I think that's what happened. It was reported from an RA to an RD to the students, and I had to talk to so many different people when I didn't want to and I didn't feel prepared to. So that was my experience. I also want to speak directly to the chancellor. Mass Lab and a lot of other news outlets have released that the Theta Chi National Organization sent out a letter calling for you to defend and support the fraternity after the allegations. In particular, they wanted to hear you say that you supported them, and I want to ask you if you do support them, and how you feel about that. I know it's a heavy question. I know it is, but I think it needs to be asked. If they feel like they have the right to call on to you for support, and we're obviously struggling here to talk to you, I want to hear what you have to say about that. And I can let you answer. I have one more question, so whatever you want to do.
I mean, I'll give a quick answer. First of all, I have not seen the letter. I was out of town and I will have to see the letter. But no, any particular organization, unless they have been investigated, I'm not going to say that there's nothing going on there, because we don't know that there's nothing going on there.
So you don't support them?
Oh.
That they're calling on to you, saying we haven't been,
I will not be making a statement in support of the fraternity, no.
Okay. Another thing that I had wanted to ask.
That's a good thing.
If you at all could release how many official reported cases have had any outcomes at all. You don't have to do any names, no years, just a number of how many people have made reports of rape or sexual assault, and how many people have been punished into that. Because through a lot of these protests, we've talked to a lot of people that have reported it, and like we said, they said, and UMass said nothing. UMass said, are you sure you want to report him? That could ruin his life. Things like that. And people aren't making it up. So, can you release any information that shows you're doing anything? I can see you're really trying to connect with us here and say that there's all of these resources we have, but based on what the student population is saying, we don't feel any of that. We don't hear any of that. In the emails, you guys say, we see you, we feel you, we're with you. It doesn't feel like that. I feel like I'm just $30,000 to you guys, like my tuition. Like, fight for my rights to not have to walk to late night and have to ask a guy friend to come with me, or to have what? I don't want to be here. I'm shaking. I don't want to be put in this situation, and neither do any people that have suffered here. Like, this can all be changed, but you need to understand that there's things in the administration that need to be changed. That's why we're here. We're not trying to be disrespectful, but we're not being listened to, so that's why we're loud.
Make it loud.